Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of Star Trek Valhalla, a Star Trek Adventures actual play run by myself and 5 of my friends. And I'm in a great mood today. I took the day off work. I had a nap for like 3 hours with Luna, the kitty cat, who many of you have probably seen on stream. And we just spent the last like 30-40 minutes just BSing with these fine people prior to getting this game going, and I'm super excited about it. But enough about this old hound dog. I want to hear from the players and hear about who they are and what characters they're playing. So let's start with the captain, and we'll take it from there.
Hello, I am Brian. I'm at Mind Over Brian on both Twitter and on Twitch. Although on Twitch I spell it with a 0. And I'm playing Captain Asba Traso, the Betazoid captain who has foregone his telepathic powers.
Hello, I'm Sidereal Day, and I'm playing the Bajoran commander, Ajay Shahira, who is both Executive Officer and Chief Medical Officer.
Dun, dun, dun.
Hello, I'm Symbol24. I am Lieutenant Eldon Paris, Science Officer and Legacy.
Hello, my name's Charles. I'm playing Ensign Zed, the Ferengi Operations Officer and Chief of Security, who is straight out of the academy.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
So fresh.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Drew. I am playing Lieutenant Commander Krev, the Chief Engineer, Tellarite. He is a curmudgeonly old bastard, and he likes fixing stuff.
Excellent. And of course, I am Darewolf, the Game Master, and as always, super happy to be here. Thank you all for playing with me. I do appreciate it. But we do have an opening log from none other than Commander Ajay. So, Commander Ajay, please take it away.
Personal log, stardate 51377.4. Keeping 3 separate journals remains a fascinating, if occasionally frustrating endeavor. Deciding what needs to be entered into which log and what can simply be mentioned as a cross-reference is enough to fill quite a bit of my theoretical free time. Thank the prophets, the only one I'm so far in danger of falling behind on is this one. And even with that, I'd say I'm managing to keep my head above water. As noted in my recent medical officer's logs, my most interesting patients remain Petty Officer Geoffery Locke and Commander BeDob. Although I suspect patience is a bit misleading in both of their cases. The petty officer is in suspiciously perfect health given his trials, despite his continued presence in the medical bay. His memories remain jumbled, unfortunately, but the brain has always been the most difficult part of any being to treat. As for the commander, well, it's a bit difficult to treat someone who's both hostile and locked in the brig. His continued insistence that the Ragnar is his ship is doing him no favors with anyone on board, least of all the captain. To say nothing of Lieutenant Commander Krev and his oft-repeated desire to help Commander BeDob to the accident he so clearly wishes to suffer. Perhaps it's for the best he's not technically my patient, or I would be forced to intervene, if only because of the Hippocratic Oath. There are a few other minor injuries, complaints, and issues to see to, but most of those have been overseen by the rest of my staff, leaving me to split my time between our guests and the damage reports from that strange amalgamation ship that attempted to destroy us. I'm already seeing the reasons why it's rare for a single person to take on, well, 2 departments essentially, but I also have been given good reason to have faith in the rest of the medical staff to do their part and function without me directing their hands. Even Nurse Hagen, when he remembers to focus on the present, has proven to be, well, perhaps that one's stretching the truth a bit. Thankfully, all of the damage to the Ragnar has been repaired, and we've not been forced to return to Starbase 123. In point of fact, the captain decided we would do no such thing given our continuing mission and our current location already inside the Shackleton Expanse. For my part, I'm inclined to agree with him. Retracing your steps is quite useful for good mental health, but for physical purposes, I've noticed that most people use it as an excuse to avoid forward progress. It's good to see Captain Traso isn't afraid of change given our mission. Given both of our missions, never mind my uncertainty about... No. Computer, delete those last 2 lines.
Acknowledged.
Where was I? I'm still not quite sure what to make of the rest of the senior staff on a personal level. We've weathered 2 crises rather well, all things considered, and on a professional level, I have to say I have no reservations. If they can say the same for me, then, with the Prophet's favor, we'll be just fine moving forward. And there will be plenty of time to get to know each other as people, starting with this potluck Ensign Zed is hosting. It's a charming idea, and quite in line with what I recall of the ensign's conscientious manner from Keldrin 5. I'll have to make sure to give the Hosperit souffle enough time to rise. Here's hoping the rest of the senior staff enjoy spicy food, or I'll be the only one eating it.
Wow. Well played. That was wonderful, Commander Ajay. Love the opening log. You may have 2 momentum for that brilliant opening log. Absolutely fantastic. Loved it.
Can we pass a vote that she does our
Opening log
logs
everyone.
time?
Yeah, sorry everybody. Yeah, house rule. Commander Ajay gets all opening logs moving forward forever until the end of time. No, that was great.
Oh, no.
That was absolutely fantastic. But we are going to open our scene with an exterior shot of the Ragnar. Now, the Ragnar, if I remember Captain Treso, you'd mentioned that the goal was after repairs had been completed, taking roughly 10 days since the events of the singularity, that your primary core mission was to explore the Shackleton. So I believe that was what the plan was. So we open with a scene of that kind of black, shimmery exterior shot of the Intrepid class Ragnar. And we watch as it's moving through this kind of thick, almost like orangish cloud that makes up the Shackleton Expanse. But we zoom into the Ragnar. We actually zoom in towards deck 1 and in through the window to your ready room, where we see you as well as the adjunct, your adjunct, sitting next to one another, or she's rather sitting across from you. And she once again has that little tablet in front of her. And she has her hand up to her face, and you can see she's very, very intense in thought. And you've been having a discussion about some concern she has about these guests, I suppose. And I would like to pick up right where she says, Captain, I'm concerned about your decision to, well, not return to Starbase 123, seeing as we have found 2 passengers, and they seem to be out of place. Can you explain your reasoning?
There is a delicate balance to be walked with a new crew and a new ship. If you stray a little too far one way or the other, you can lose their faith, they can lose morale. And seeing as how we had 2 crises sort of back to back, I could see no reason not to demonstrate to the crew that I trusted them, that they had performed admirably. And the best way I could think to do that was not to scurry back to the starbase with our tail between our legs, but to continue on our mission. Most of the staff is ready to explore new galaxies, new phenomena, and there's no reason to deny them that. So until I receive orders otherwise, that's what we're doing.
At the mention of receive orders, you see one of the adjunct's eyebrows kind of raise up, very similar to if you've ever seen Spot do the kind of like eyebrow raise in the original series. And she says, have you received any orders, Captain? Although, is that question out of line? I do apologize.
Not at all. Any officer is welcome to inquire about orders. And I have no reason to deny your request. I have sent a couple of reports back to Starbase 123. I've requested a communication with Admiral Locke or Admiral Janeway, and I've received no response for either. So our standing orders, well, stand.
She breathes in a deep breath and then lets out a long, not annoyed, but thoughtful breath. Captain, I'm concerned that... Well, I am concerned that this Commander BeDob may be a... There is then a... at your ready room door from the turbo lift, and Lieutenant Commander Krev walks in through that doorway. And Krev, I'd like to pass the scene over to you. Oh, you're muted.
Krev, grab a seat.
Sorry. You got a minute? It's something I need to talk about.
Yeah, the adjunct and I and the ensign and I were just having a discussion about orders, but if you've got something important, grab a seat.
The adjunct stands up. I will see myself out, Captain. And as always, thank you for your time. And she'll actually head back to the bridge.
Ensign. So when I was in the cloakroom, while we were right before I left to go up to the bridge, there was a message that came through the screen that told me not to trust the Andorian. Not that I would ever trust an Andorian.
Okay. You mean the one we've got in the brig?
Yeah.
And you think that the cloak device had some sort of knowledge of the future?
I'm just telling you what it told me, Cap.
Well, I'm disinclined to trust anybody who shows up on my ship declaring that that it's their ship anyway. So I can't imagine that
It's quite clear
that was going to be
ship.
too big a danger. Yeah, maybe we should talk about that. You got to stop telling crewmen that it's your ship. If you wanted the command, you should have taken it when they offered it.
I don't want the command. I want the ship.
Well, they're
You can
hand in
handle
hand.
all the bullshit.
It's not how it works, Krev. It's my ship. I'm responsible for it. Now it can be our ship. Partners. But it's not yours. I need to know that in a crisis you'll respect that.
Well, I mean, you got the pips.
That's not respect, Krev. I know that I have sort of leapfrogged you in this one, and I could understand if you were pissed about that.
Oh, no. I mean, other than throwing away like a really promising engineering career to waste your time riding a chair on deck 1, no. I'm where I want to be. And honestly, I'm kind of glad I get to be here with you. You were one of the best I trained. Do I actually have to say it?
Well, I appreciate that. All right. Well, I mean, like I said, it can be your ship until it's my ship, and then it's our ship.
Yeah. I mean,
right.
It's all of our ship, but it's my ship.
Fair. So, are we any closer to figuring out how that cloak works?
I mean, I'm not allowed to send teams in there, and there's only 24 hours in it. The humans have this set to 24 hours, right?
Yeah.
24 hours in a day. So
yeah, I argued with Starfleet that the 26-hour wow, the Beta Z 26-hour day would be a more efficient use of our time, but they insist on Earth standard.
Stupid humans.
So you're telling me you haven't spent all your spare time in there?
Oh, I've spent every waking second I've had not fixing all of the other stuff that's breaking all over this ship all the time, because people don't know how to treat her right. But yeah, every waking second I've had that I haven't been eating, sleeping, or fixing other people's mistakes has been in that room, and I've learned nothing.
Lieutenant Commander Karev, what I'd like you to do in this moment is actually roll a reason engineering difficulty of 4. You do have 2 momentum to spend, and what this is going to do is it's going to determine if anything, you've managed to uncover about this cloaking device in the center of the ship. You say you've discovered nothing, but perhaps there's something that you've picked up on. Dun dun dun. And it's a role-playing game. You know, emphasis on the roll. We gotta roll something, right? Come on.
Can I use my I know my ship talent?
On this one, no, because this is completely foreign
Okay.
from the Ragnar itself.
All right.
Dunk on the chief of engineering. Boom! Get wrecked, son. No, I'm kidding.
All right.
That's terrible.
You said it was control and engineering.
Yes. No. Reason and engineering. Or excuse me.
Cancel.
Insight
Cancel.
engineering. Insight engineering.
Okay. Insight. Engineering.
Do you want to spend any momentum or give me any threat?
I will do one of each.
Brilliant.
Well, you'd need to spend 3 total, so it'd be
Oh.
to get 2 dice.
All right. Well, you guys mind if I spend the 2 momentum?
I hear no complaints.
Okay.
already spent
So I'll do 2 momentum and a threat for a 4th d20, right?
Yep.
All right. Let's see. Do I have an applicable focus? Shield systems, warp drive, damage control, transporters and replicators, improvisation, or fusion reactors?
I would give you improvisation because I am a benevolent and kind game master.
You are.
Oh God.
Fantastic! Do you remember that statement that you just made, Lieutenant Commander Krev, of nothing?
Nothing.
You feel more confused about it. And let me explain what that means. You were tinkering around with it. You were trying to, maybe you pulled off a piece of the panel of the computer. You're trying to look in the insides. It won't turn on anymore. That's where we're at right now. It's like off, and it won't turn on anymore. And I'm going to let you determine whether or not you tell the captain that, but you may or may not have broken it. You're not sure.
Yeah. I've, like I said, discovered nothing. I've spent all of my time trying to figure it out. I may have broken it or something. It's certainly not functional, so to speak, right now.
Well, if it was that easy to break, at the very least, it's not something we're depending on.
That's what I figured.
Your comm badge chirps, Captain, and it is your administrative adjunct who's currently sitting in the captain's chair, just overseeing it. Captain, has the cloaking device been activated, sir?
Not that I'm aware of, Ensign.
Curious. It would appear that half the ship is cloaked and the other half is not. May I request that Lieutenant Commander Krev investigate?
Certainly, I'll pass that request along.
Kreb's
Thank you,
already
Ensign.
up. Yeah, I'll figure it out.
And with
by
that, as Krev exits, we are going to transition to a little scene transition all the way down to sickbay, where we would see Lieutenant Paris, Commander Ajay, and the young petty officer Locke sitting on a medical bed in the medical bay of the Ragnar. And really, I'd like to just pass it off to you. Locke looks not nervous. The boy has been very, I would say, passive. Whatever he's asked to do, he does without complaint. Doesn't ask a lot of questions. Doesn't really do much of anything. Just sit there and just kind of take everything in. But I leave the scene to the two of you.
All right, Doc, I came here as quick as I could. I think I might have an idea, and I want to use your brain as well. Look, Locke, I think Locke, well, we know he's not from our time, right?
That's been very clear, yes.
That's all right. But I wanted to see, have you tried to scan for chronometric particles on it?
What do you mean I'm
Not
not
yet.
from your time? I thought I don't.
Sorry.
What?
Mr. Locke, your memories are still so jumbled, but the shuttle we found you on is old.
What do you mean it's old?
Like from our point of view, that shuttle is over 40 years old.
You shouldn't be alive. if you were born and appeared to age the way you have.
All right.
I'm sorry, Doc.
I want the Commander Ajay. I'd like Commander Ajay to roll a insight medicine, and if you have anything with regards to psychology, emotions,
Yes, I have psychology.
etc., I'd like you to roll that with a focus, please. Difficulty on this is simply going to be a 2.
Okay.
Interesting. That's currently a failure. You have a
Yeah,
couple of options here.
Yeah, this is a social situation, though, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So oh, that's assisting.
Sometimes failure can be fun. Let's roll with it. So,
Okay.
what we're going to say is that you're actually picking up that the young petty officer, this Jeffrey Locke, is getting a little bit more internalized, but you're not sure if it's him trying to maybe hide his emotions from you himself, or whether or not he is truly feeling uncomfortable or upset. He's almost so neutral about it, so calm about everything, that it's almost unsettling in this moment. It is just a, you'd think you'd tell somebody, hey, you're out of time and you're not where you're supposed to be, and that's weird, and they'd be like, what? And he's just like, all right, that's fine, it is what it is, and I'm gonna let you do with that as you see fit.
Sorry, Doc. I'm too excited. I'm sorry, Locke. I didn't mean it like that.
No, nothing to apologize for, Lieutenant Paris. I'm ready for whatever tests you want to run. I'm actually getting used to it at this point.
Yes, my apologies for that. I'm assuming, Lieutenant, you want to scan for the chronometric particles.
And I want let's try to scan for the chronometric particles, but if we can use an inverse chronoton burst, we might be able to date him. Or at least the particle, maybe.
So what you're attempting to do is do some like carbon dating, right? Like that's
Pretty
what
much.
we're trying to be like, all right, when is he supposed to be from? Let's figure that out
Exactly.
first. I like it. I love that, actually. That is fantastic. So what this is going to be is this is going to be a reason and science. Difficulty on this is going to be just a base of 2. It's a pretty standard procedure to quote unquote carbon date someone. However, as you go to scan, you're going to notice that it appears there is something. You're not sure what it is. Almost as though there is a field around this petty officer that is almost blocking you trying to scan him. So you're getting some interference. And what that's going to translate to into game terms is, I've got all this threat. Karev was kind enough to give me some more. I'm just going to spend some of it. I'm going to increase difficulty to a 4, and we're going to see what happens here.
All right, well, since I'm here helping, I'm going to use my advisor talent.
What a time to be
All right.
alive. And that means you can
So-
roll. You can roll to assist.
And he can re-roll 1d20.
Yep. So you're going to roll to assist. You're going to be rolling a control medicine. Basically, I would imagine Commander Ajay is just trying to keep him calm in this moment. Go ahead, Lieutenant
I have
Harris.
to use command.
Oh, command. Excuse me. You're right.
Yes.
Command medicine. Forgive me.
And
No,
my role, my role is control science. Science,
Command
right?
and medicine are
Reason-
both disciplines.
reason
You need to give her an
science.
attribute.
Yeah,
Wait.
yeah. Darewolf. It needs to be an
Oh,
attribute.
presence. It's presence command, right? Yeah.
Yep.
That.
No worries.
Super professional Star Trek 2D20
It's okay.
streamer here. Yeah, that's great. My immersion. No, it's ruined. Oh my god.
Can I use my improvisation focus?
Yeah, why not? I've set the precedent with Karev, so I guess that's on me.
All right, so I've
That's one
given you a success.
That's awesome.
1 success. We need 4.
So we need 3 more.
I'm gonna give you 3 threat to go with my bold science.
Oh my
So
god,
then we
I'm
will
going to
all-
increase your complication range to a 17 to 20.
All right,
Thanks for that threat. Love
my
you.
pleasure. But I get to reroll at least one.
You get to
So,
reroll one. Yes.
well, you know, something.
Wow. Let's see if that there was a oh, it's a 15. Oh, I almost got you. I almost got you. Ah, fiddlesticks. So
Shucks.
you go to scan him, and again, as I described, there appears to be almost as though there is a force field around this young petty officer, something that is blocking your scans, but you very easily, because of your expertise when it comes to scanning and just you're good at your job. All right, Lieutenant Paris. What you discover is that you cannot date where this petty officer is supposed to be from. He simply exists. He's not from the past. He's not from the future. He's not from the present. It is as though he exists outside of time. It is though every time you go to scan him, it's as though he was just created, just born. And you look at your scanner and it's like you're watching a date, like a carbon date. It's just like 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, and just again and again. Now, what's interesting is that you also have one additional question as the Chief Science Officer that you can ask me. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask?
I do. Is he actually from our universe, or is he from another one?
Great question. You're not sure.
God
But it
damn it.
definitely seems like maybe he is from a different universe. It is, again, it's hard to really get a good reading because it constantly keeps changing. He exists, and it's almost like he exists for a moment and then he doesn't, and then he exists for a moment and then he doesn't, and it's flittering. Now, what I am going to give you, because I don't want you to feel like you wasted your question, is you are picking up what appears to be a small, like, bean-sized device that is centered in the middle of his brain. So if you look at the brain, you're doing a scan, and Commander Ajay, maybe you're the one that picks this up, but there's a small little device, very, very powerful energy signature, and it appears that from that device, that is what is giving off that kind of, skin, literally like a micromillimeter, just little like something that is protecting or blocking scans on him, that it's like a little, almost like a little mini personal shield around him is what you're picking up. Locke looks to Lieutenant Paris.
So as I'm
am
finishing,
I still healthy?
you are in perfect health as far as my medical skills are concerned. I'm sure the doctor can confirm that even better than me. But you, sir, are misty wrapped in a conundrum, and I will figure it out.
Is that good?
That is it. It's great.
He looks to Commander Ajay. You see that the look on his face says, "I don't believe Lieutenant Paris. Am I okay?"
You're quite fine, petty officer. It's just the lieutenant is interested in the scientific aspects behind your unusual circumstances. Nothing to be concerned about, I assure you.
Commander Ajay, when will I be allowed to leave medical?
If the lieutenant sees no issue with it.
He looks to the lieutenant, hope in his eyes.
Just, Doc, do you see that? I'm sorry, do you notice that in his brain?
Yes, quite. However, it doesn't seem to be affecting anything on a medical perspective, merely the scientific scans you're conducting. However, if you don't believe there's an issue of that contaminating the ship.
From the scientific point, this is give us a second. Doc, scurry over.
You two of you want to go out into the hallway for a moment?
Yeah.
All right, I like that. You two, the both of you scurry out in the hallway. The doors to that medical bay on the bottom there slide shut. The last thing you see is Locke looking hopefully at the two of you, like, "Can I leave my prison? Maybe that'd be great." But yeah, go ahead, please continue.
I think that's what's preventing the the scans to go through. How likely is it possible to remove it?
Given that none of my medical scans picked it up until now, I'm hesitant to say, but if it's preventing him from being scanned, do we think that's all it's doing?
I don't think so. If it's preventing, from what I'm understanding, it's continuously resetting his time frame.
I see.
So
which
I'm also
case-
guessing that if we remove it, he might die, disappear,
Age,
bunch of
any of
stuff
those things, yes.
might happen.
So
So,
you
yeah.
see my hesitation to remove it.
That's why also I didn't want to speak in.
If that is resetting his time constantly, that could be the reason that he's so, I hesitate to use the word, but disgustingly healthy.
That
He
is
should
all.
have some wear and tear given everything he's been through.
Could that be a tagline? Disgustingly healthy. That was fantastically stated. I am sorry to interrupt, but that was a wonderful line. I love it.
All right. I don't see a problem with him getting out, meeting
Alright.
people. He needs to socialize, clearly.
Yes.
I'm curious if our Andorian friend has one. Because
Well, now
he
that I
seemed
know
to have,
what's
he seemed to have been subjected to the same process
yes,
as the ship and probably the crew on the ship. So, yeah,
yes.
my guess is he doesn't have one. All right.
Likely, but now that I know what I'm looking for, I can go do another scan of him at some point and look for it.
All right.
And if he doesn't have one, then we can certainly scan him for chronometric particles and see what's going on there. Although given his insistence that this ship is his, he might actually be from this time, which begs the question of how he ended up all the way out here.
Yeah,
And I think
this time,
that.
but maybe this
Go ahead, please. Chris.
present. Sorry.
No, that was great, man. I think that's a great moment to do a scene transition, just to let that question kind of just, hang in the air for a moment. We're actually going to pivot out to same deck as the medical bay, but we're going to pivot to a scene where we see Ensign Zed. And now I'm curious, Ensign Zed, do you normally walk with a tricorder? Do you normally walk with a data pad? I know you're making your way to the medical bay yourself, but I'd like to just know what does he usually carry on his persons?
So he normally carries a tricorder and a data pad.
Okay.
And right now he's got it tucked under his arm, kind of like a book.
Okay.
As he's walking through the corridor.
Very, very, very good. And we're going to go to just a little bit of theater of the mind for a moment, if you would bear with me for a moment. So we're just going to have a little bit of a black screen here and this time, because I don't have any good hallways. There's no good hallway. I had to look for some hallway maps, couldn't find one, but we're just going to have you on the map here. And let me just do this really quick, if you give me a moment. So we got this guy. Let me paste this, and for some reason it's not showing you. Ah, there you are. Okay. All right. So we've got you, and as you're walking down the hallway, Ensign Zed, you're going to not bump into, but up in front of you, you're going to see none other than one of your, I guess, friends. I don't think you've signed a contract yet, but you're going to see none other than the young Danny Bradish. Danny Bradish. She says, Ensign Zed. Hey, Ensign Zed. I'm actually really glad that I found you. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, but this whole potlucky thing that's going to be happening. By the way, great idea. Love it. My grandmother used to throw potlucks. We had like noodles. We had some cheese. There were cakes. Ice cream. She made this great roast. It was fantastic. Really, I really miss her. She was just a wonderful woman. But anyway, I'm digressing again. So I was just curious. The whole buzzing thing when we first met aboard the Starbase. Okay, I can I permission to speak freely, sir.
Oh, Danny, you always have permission to speak freely with me.
I will. You're going to regret that, but thank you, sir. With that being said, I don't like my food alive. it could just, maybe it's a human thing in me. It's part of my failings of just being a simple species. But not really a big fan of Gach. I'm concerned. Let me give you an example. I'm bringing casserole. Okay, green bean casserole, very much dead, plant based. There's some cream and whatnot. It does come from living. Perhaps you could see my concern. I just want to make sure that am I making sense, sir?
You are making perfect sense, Danny. But let me ask you, have you ever seen a tula fly? With its distended, bulging thorax glistening with the ichor that flows with inside it. And what we do is we allow the tula flies to gorge on caramelized sugar for 3 days, enhancing the flavor 1,000-fold. When we open the dish, they hover out lazily. They're made sleepy by the caramelized sugar, and you just pluck them out of the air and right into your mouth. It is well, Ferengis, we do not have a heaven per se, but as you would say, it is heaven.
The expression on Danny's face is distinct concern.
Right.
So, just to confirm, Ensign, sir, Mr. Zed, so they are alive?
Oh yes, quite alive. The Ferengi saying is, make sure to bite them before they bite you.
Oh, God. All right. Well, super looking forward to getting sick before the potluck. May not be able to make it, but you know what, Zed? I wish you all the best, sir. And he's gonna awkwardly pat your shoulders, give you a little shake, and that sounds. Oh man, bite them before they bite you. That is disconcerting. And go ahead.
Perhaps you should see the doctor if you think you're going to become sick before the potluck.
No need to see the
As
doctor.
a matter of fact, I am heading that way now.
Purely psychological, sir. And I'm wanted in deck, not here. So I will talk to you later. Thank you. And he just makes a beeline away before Zed can say anything. And with that being said, oh my God, I love Zed. He is fantastic. We're gonna pivot back to the sick bay, and at this point, Lieutenant Paris, you've had a chance to move off to some of the other things that you are going to be working on here today as well, and we're gonna have I believe the plan for this one was to have one of the other NPCs that is controlled by Drubaka, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, good sir. And Ensign Zeb, you're going to walk into the upper, give me one moment, the upper medical bay here. So let me go ahead and get this pivoted. But you would walk in and you would see Commander Ajay, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was going to be Nurse Tomas? Tomas? All right.
Yes, Nurse Tomas is mine, though.
Oh, perfect. Okay, forgive me.
Yeah,
That is yours.
EMH is mine.
Okay, perfect. So Nurse Tomas, and I'd like to just have a quick moment between Nurse Tomas, because we haven't met Nurse Tomas. Is Nurse Tomas male, female?
Male.
Male, perfect.
Yep.
So Nurse Tomas, which is going to be represented by that kind of light blue token, just for the time being. And I'm curious as to what would you two have been discussing prior to, just before Ensign Zed walks into the medical bay. Anything on your minds at this moment?
Nurse Tomas would have been trying to talk with the doctor about are there any real Ferengi antihistamines that we have on file?
Not that I've seen. Unfortunately, Starfleet doesn't seem to have a lot of medical information on Ferengi, given the general lack of them in Starfleet. And I never spent much time on, I believe the station, you would know the station as Deep Space Nine still, that orbits my homeworld. There are Ferengi there, but again, I never spent much time on the station. I passed through it once.
I see.
So I'm afraid I can't give you any starting point that would assist.
Then it would be trial and error.
Unfortunately, yes.
And to mention
Don't worry.
trial and error, we're actually going to have Ensign Zed walk into the room and enter into the scene, and then I leave it to you all as well.
Ah, Ensign, thank you for your prompt arrival.
Ah, doctor. And nurse.
Ensign?
So, how do my lobes look?
Well, it looks like the temporary antihistamines have been doing their job. Yes?
Yes, I've perhaps only sneezed a few times.
Ensign Zed, tell me high or low.
Hi.
Fantastic. His ears look slightly inflamed, and as you're talking to him and he mentions that you've only sneezed once or twice, you notice that on the back of the lobes there are these tiny little like blue and black speckles, and they kind of look like chicken pox. And unfortunately, Ensign said you haven't noticed them.
Oh dear. Nurse Tomas, if you would step over here, please.
Doctor takes out a
As you
medical
can-
calculator and starts scanning.
As you can see, it seems as if there's been a slight mutation in the allergic reaction.
Slight mutation.
Nothing
Allergic
to worry
reaction?
about. Nothing to worry about, Ensign.
Mm.
However, if this is a reaction to the antihistamine we've been using rather than the allergy, it seems that your expertise in toxicology will be very useful right now.
We're going to
Indeed.
have you guys roll a reason medicine, difficulty of 2 on this one, and the toxicology would definitely give a focus. Who wants to be the primary roller and who wants to assist?
I guess I can roll with the nurse.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then Commander Ajay can use advisor.
Yep.
Reason medicine.
Critical failure. Critical failure.
Critical failure.
These are my lobes you're talking about.
I love it.
Yay!
So
Wow.
many successes.
Holy moly. That is
Good
fantastic. That is
job.
actually a success with 1 additional momentum. Captain Treso, if you could grab that for us, that'd be fantastic. So you discover, Nurse Tomas, that Ensign Zed is indeed having a slight reaction to the antihistamines that Commander Ajay had provided. It appears that he is allergic to the treatment as well. So while it is currently preventing him from reacting negatively to any of the Cation officers aboard, Cation crew members, he is now forming these little like, I hesitate to say warts, but little like pox, little chicken pox things on there. And Ensign said it's weird. They don't itch. You don't even like. It's if you hadn't been looking for them, you wouldn't even have felt it. But you do feel those couple of those little bumps.
Right.
It seems mostly harmless, but likely something that you should treat. So I leave that with you.
There won't be any permanent scarring, will they? My ears
No.
are my best feature.
I'm sure we can figure something out. A topical cream, perhaps, but this does put rather a bit of pressure on you, Nurse Tomas, since this antihistamine treatment we have been using is clearly not something we should continue.
With this result, I think I can find a proper avenue of attack, and for the marks, we can prescribe a small steroid injection to prevent more inflammation.
Sounds like a plan. Don't worry, Ensign. Everything will be just fine.
And now we're going to do
Thank
a
you.
control medicine, difficulty of 3. I'm going to spend some threat to make the complication range 19 to 20. And let's see how well of a treatment the nurse and the commander, the good doctor, can come up with here.
I mean, we just got a momentum. I think we can use it.
So why don't you use it? Yeah.
To a scene, Ensign Zed's ears explode. Okay. Yeah,
I'm gonna use advisor again, so you'll be able to re-roll a d20.
Very nice.
All right. Does xenobiology apply in this case, or
Absolutely, 100%.
All right.
Oh yeah.
medicine? With this.
Ugh.
Oof.
Oof.
Oh,
But that's okay.
In the
Yep,
clutch.
there we go.
In the clutch.
That's
I
okay.
love it. Let's go. So you are very quickly able to determine the proper ratio of you actually come up with a topical cream that will both prevent the kind of warty looking bumps that are on his ears, but also acts as an antihistamine against the allergic reaction that Ensign Zed has been having to the cation. So it's like a double acting thing. You've created the proper formula to apply. It'll take you a couple of minutes to synthesize, but very quickly you're able to discover the proper ratio. So at least moving forward, Ensign Zed should be fine, and his ears, his lobes, his best feature, shouldn't be in threat. So that's a good thing.
Commander Ajay, I didn't doubt you for a moment.
All of it thanks to Nurse Tomas.
Thank you, Nurse Tomas.
One final question, Ensign.
Yes?
Do you prefer strawberry or grape?
Strawberry or grape? I don't know if I'm familiar with either one.
Then in that case, how about both? Takes out from under the table 2 lollipops, one pink and one purple.
Oh,
Samant,
yes,
that's
please.
great. And I think that's a great transition there, if you don't mind. We're going to pivot back up to the captain's ready room, where Captain and Lieutenant Paris, I believe you are long overdue for a quick discussion. I believe the topic of choice was boundaries. So we're going to pivot back over to the ready room once again, where Lieutenant Paris, you've just walked in, and Captain, as is your tradition, you are sitting in your ready room. I think there are other places on the ship, and maybe you'll eventually go there, but I digress.
Maybe.
So go ahead and please take the scene.
Paris, excellent. Grab a seat.
Thank you.
Let me finish up this report real quick.
Of course. As I sit down, you notice I have something in my hands.
You need to set that down on the desk or something?
Well, it's sir, it's from my uncle Tom Paris. I'm sure you've heard of him. It's a plate. It's a commemorative Tom Paris plate. He made sure to give me an original to give to you. I know.
Well, I'll make sure to send him a thank you note. It is a little sparse in here so far, so I'm sure we can find a place to display it.
I set it out on your desk.
Lieutenant, I've been going over the logs, and I noticed that you, this is not a criticism, but you have a tendency to take the initiative on things that aren't necessarily your expertise. Now, this isn't necessarily a problem. At least not for me. But I did want to warn you that those kind of things can look a little reckless to other commanding officers. Now, I've made sure that currently all your unauthorized accesses are covered. And in fact, I noticed that in the first 30 minutes you were aboard the ship, you managed to shut down the cloaking device, despite the fact that we were all trying to deal with a different problem. So I've issued a commendation. It's in your file. However, I do need to know that when the chips are down and we need you to be focusing on what we're focused on, you'll be focused.
Yes, Captain. Permission to speak freely?
No problem. Granted.
With my family name, there comes expectations, and those expectations create bad habits, I guess, in trying to not be what people expect. When it comes to those first 30 minutes, I guess I was caught up in the moment more than I realized.
Again, not a criticism. It sounds like if I'm reading these laws correctly, you may have saved our bacon. So, I think it's important that you know that I'm encouraging you to continue to take those kinds of initiatives. The science officer on my last ship kind of got a bum rap. They weren't focused on the science. The Ragnar's got a pretty science-heavy mission, so don't feel like you need to stretch your wings too far past science to show me what a great officer you are.
Understood. But I will say, so, sir, that you've managed to assemble quite a team.
Can I say a bunch of quality people applied? All I had to do was put the rubber stamp on their
I hope
appointments.
Commander Krev isn't too mad I broke his ship. Well, sir, your ship.
Alden, don't tell Krev you broke his ship. As
Yes,
far as
sir.
the logs are concerned, you didn't. But I can't cover you for you forever. So.
And next time I get a brilliant plan, I will at least keep you informed.
That's all I ask. Is there anything you wanted to talk about other than your uncle's plate?
And I hate that plate so much. I'm sorry.
I don't envy you.
That's
Have I ever told you that my mom is a duchess on Beta Z? Absolutely disappointed in me.
Oh,
In fact, every time any ship I'm on flies within a sector, I can hear her disapproving from Beta Z. That's how powerful a telepath she is.
I don't envy that, but I think I have the same type of feeling every time I go back home. Yeah. Okay.
So I guess what I'm saying is you're not alone. If you ever need to talk, let me know.
Thank you, sir.
And I think that is a great moment to pivot down to the main deflector array, where Ensign Zed and Lieutenant Commander Krev are, I believe your plan was to be working on maybe some modifications or just
Checking
wrapping
the
up some
repairs.
repairs, etc. And Lieutenant Commander Krev, your ears are burning, FYI. Something someone said maybe, I'm not sure. But we're going to pivot you over, and I've got a little scene here set up for you guys to where you are just in the bowels of the ship. You've got a couple of panels off. You're looking at the deflector array here. And I leave the scene to you. Or, by the way, are you alone? Do you have some other personnel with you? What's the plan?
There can be other people, around, but it's mostly, I imagine, just Zed and Krev looking
Perfect.
over a piece of equipment together.
A few
Perfect.
background actors, some
Maybe a
extras.
couple
Yeah,
of other
yeah.
folks here.
Uh-huh.
Maybe the good petty officer is here as well. She's helping out. But go ahead, please take the scene.
Yeah, so Zed's reviewing readouts on a pad, and he says, the diagnostic is complete, Commander. The subspace accelerators are operating at even higher efficiency than before the repairs.
That's good work there, Ensign.
Oh, well, it's all due to your guidance, Commander. I'm very impressed by your expertise. Might I ask, how did you first become interested in engineering?
Well, I've always liked getting my my hooves in technology. I don't know what you know of my people, but we're known for our prowess as engineers, as well as for a rather, I think, undeserved love of argument and disagreement. We just call it being thorough.
I understand. My people are likewise known for their
Greed, avarice, shady dealings with other people.
It has been said. However, I follow. My mother and I are reformists, whereas my father and brother are traditionalists. I don't adhere to most of those. Well, I try to break free of most of those stereotypes.
So what you're saying is your mom wears the pants in the family.
Yes, and most families, a mother is not aware to allowed to wear anything at all.
That's what I've heard.
There is something I wanted to ask you, Commander.
Go ahead, Ensign.
I couldn't help but notice that you and Captain Treso, you use somewhat of an informal tone when you speak to each other.
Well, see, Captain was maybe a ensign under me on his first ship. I was the chief engineer, and he was assigned to me as his first command. God, what even ship was that? I don't know. It's too many ships ago.
Oh, I see. Well, it seems like you have a very comfortable relationship with the captain.
I taught him everything he knows.
Do you think that it would make the captain more comfortable if I were to speak to him in that manner? What was it that you told him the other day? Get your buttocks back onto the bridge, or something, something like that.
Ensign, it would make my day if you were to talk to the captain like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I suppose the question is, would it make his day?
Yes, absolutely. He would find it to be, he likes familiarity, especially amongst his ensigns.
Well, thank you very much, Commander Krev. I'm going to take this to heart. I want to do everything I can to perform well for Captain Treso. Well, I've got a lot more. Thank you for going over the deflector array with me.
Indeed, Ensign. Well, as I said, well done. If you need any other, tips on deflector shield realignment, you know where to come.
Or in pleasing the captain, I will come straight to you.
That's right, indeed. Any other advice you need with the captain, please come to me first.
I'm gonna spend a threat that in this moment, as you two are talking, there is a little like flash of light, and there's a spark, and one of the little power conduits and the open panels that you have explodes, sending kind of like some sparks. No one gets hurt, and there's just like a whoa, hey, oh, and you feel the temperature in the room get a little bit warmer. And I'm curious as to how Karev would respond.
Krev runs over. Oh God, the microscopic dampening array went off again.
I certainly hope it wasn't something I did.
No, just have to recalibrate the positronic array.
Well, I'm certain that my work can be put off for a little while if you need an extra set of hands.
Thank you, Ensign. It's really all part of breaking these new starships in.
I think that's a great scene transition to our next scene. So this would happen a little while afterwards. Ensign Zed, you're actually going to be in the middle of preparing for the potluck. You're preparing for the potluck, and if you bear with me for a moment, I realize it's gotten dark outside, so I should turn on a light because I was starting to look like I was in the shadows. Shadowy GM is shadowy. There you go. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to pivot over to a new room that we haven't actually seen before. And this is actually going to be the conference room where the potluck is intended to be taking place. And what we're going to do is we're going to have you there. Bear with me for a moment. And then Lieutenant Paris, I'm curious, what is Lieutenant Paris planning to bring to this potluck that's going to be taking place?
So because he still is trying to outdo himself, he's bringing like 10 different sampling meals from different cultures that there wasn't any representative on the ship before.
Okay.
Because, he's so well knowledge and has traveled so much.
So are you telling me that you're doing tapas? Is that what's happening?
Tapas.
We're doing tapas? All right, I like it.
Yeah,
that's
giant
fantastic.
Of trays.
Love it. So you are the first two to show up to this potluck, as it were, that is supposed to be happening tonight. And with that being said, I'm just gonna leave the scene to you two at this moment right now.
So Paris is just entering the room.
Yep. So
Yes.
entering the room's got a stack
Okay.
in one hand and
Right.
a plate in another.
And Zed has this big container that has the flies in it in the center of the thing, and it's got these tubes where it's feeding this caramelized sugar into it, and he says, Lieutenant Paris.
Hey, Zed.
I'm not sure what you're bringing, but it certainly smells stimulating.
Well, it's gonna be interesting. I think it's gonna complement well your friends.
Well, I do hope so. I hope this entire potluck dinner is received well. I think it would be an excellent bonding experience for the crew.
If anything, it's going to be pure entertainment.
Lieutenant, there's something I wanted to bring up to you. Since this last 2 weeks, we've been very busy with the repairs on the ship. You and I have not really been able, we have not had free time to explore our trial friendship that we discussed earlier.
That is true.
Might I suggest that we schedule some sort of recreational activity?
Sure. Are you? What do you have in mind?
Well, is there anything that you enjoy that you think I would enjoy?
I mean, where did you practice velocity at all at the academy?
Did I practice what?
Velocity, the one of the competitive sports that you had to take.
Oh, I'm afraid I did not.
Then you know what? That's a perfect thing to try out.
Velocity. I look forward to engaging in this with you.
Alright.
I also, I've been looking at Earth literature classics, and I've found a very interesting genre that I thought perhaps we could plug into the holodeck. Are you familiar with something called the police procedural or the buddy cop genre?
Oh boy.
I found an excellent one for the 20th century, and I thought that we could have the holodeck reproduce it, and you and I could solve crimes together while exploring our trial friendship.
Did my uncle put you up to this? Is this a joke?
Oh, I have not been in contact with any of your relatives.
Okay.
I assure you, this is not an attempt at humor.
Okay.
The show that I had discovered is called Miami Vice.
I'd say I've heard of that one.
I'm not familiar with the intricacies of this show, but the fashion is incredible.
Okay. Well, let me just put my stuff down and we can, find a time and place. Oh, and here, so it's kind of awkward, but here, I had one last plate, and I hand you a commemorative Tom Paris plate.
This is beautiful. I'm going to hang it in a prominent spot right next to the picture of my mother in my quarters.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
My Uncle Tom will be very proud.
I gotta just comment. Since then, I love you guys. Too good. I can't with you. I just can't. It's so good. Oh my god, I love it. And with that, unless you have anything else to add, I think we're gonna transition here to actually a scene that I didn't mention as we were discussing some of the scenes that y'all wanted to have. But Captain, you've actually gotten a request. In fact, you've gotten half a dozen requests from the security officer that is down in the brig where this commander, this Andorian, is located. And that Andorian is and has been requesting a meeting with you for the last 3 days. And the security officer on staff there has actually made mention that all things considered, it's actually Lieutenant Junior Grade Sosek has mentioned that he seems to have calmed down and just simply wishes to speak with the captain of the Ragnar. And I'm curious, would you acquiesce his request?
Yeah, I can pop by.
All right. So we pivot down to the brig, and I'm going to go ahead and get you onto the map here as well. Good Captain. As you walk in, your security officer nods their head at you, and you see the Andorian pacing, but not angrily, not aggressively, just quietly kind of pacing back and forth in his cell, as it were. And as you walk in, you see the antennas do their little antennae thing, kind of both turn towards you. And then he turns and he waits for you to walk over. And curious, do you speak first or do you let him say something?
I am Captain Asbatreso of the USS Ragnar. I understand you have been rather insistently requesting you speak with me. Well, here I am.
Something's not right, Captain. Something isn't quite right. I want to apologize for my behavior. But hopefully you can understand that when one wakes up and finds themselves on a vessel that they think is theirs and find a strange and foreign crew, they feel a bit disjointed and concerned.
Certainly. I can understand that. I'd be very interested to know how you managed to implant authorizations for yourself at almost every level of the systems on my ship, since Starfleet has no record of you ever existing.
What,
Commander?
What do you mean? There's no record of me ever existing. I'm a goddamn commander. And then you see his voice starts to get like he starts to get a little bit more aggressive in this moment. And then he calms down, breathes, starts to kind of do some soft breathing. What happened to the boy that was with me?
At last report, he was still being examined in the medical bay. Apparently, he's unusually healthy.
And you watch as the Andorian looks down at his own hands, and you actually notice that they usually have this kind of like soft, almost like a baby blue kind of skin, very similar to the token. And his skin looks a little placid, a little like it's almost starting to like a little mottled in places. And kind of rubs his hands together, and yeah, disgustingly healthy was the term used, by the way. Thank you, Kura. I appreciate you. But he rubs his hands together, just like his palms like this, and he looks around and he says, "Captain, I need to speak with that boy."
It looks like you need to speak to the doctor before that happens.
I don't think you understand the magnitude and the gravity of this current situation, Captain. I need to speak with that little piece of... I need to speak with him, sir.
Commander, I'm not in the habit of granting favors to prisoners in the brig of my ship. Now, if you can give me a good reason or some sort of explanation, I may be more inclined to help you. One Starfleet officer to another. Since there were some chronometric particles found in the area that we found you, I'm certainly willing to entertain the idea that you may be from a separate timeline or a different universe. But in no universe is a Starfleet commander speaking to a captain with that kind of tone. So, young man, I respectfully ask you to reconsider what kind of information you would like to convey, because I'm not here to negotiate demands. I'm here to hear you out.
He breathes in again, and then breathes out very slowly. That little child isn't supposed to exist?
That's your full explanation? Because as far as we're concerned, neither are you.
Let me out of this damn brig! And then he starts hitting on the shield there, and just starts hitting it and screaming and yelling and cursing. And the security officer walks over and asks, "Captain, would you like me to sedate the prisoner?"
No, let him wear himself out.
Goddamn son of a! Let me out of my ship!
When he calms down, let him know that I'll pass his request to speak to the boy on to the boy, but that it'll be up to him. And then unless he's prepared to provide any more information, I won't be making any more trips down here.
And with that, we then pivot over and away. And our last scene in the brig is the Andorian smashing the shield, it buzzing and hissing as he does so. And you watch as his skin starts to look a little bit more darker blue and less of that light blue. And he just continues to yell and scream, his antennas going wild. And yeah, he just looks really mad and angry in this moment. But our next scene that we're going to pivot over to here as well is going to be everyone in the conference room. And this is going to be taking place right before the actual potluck kicks off. There was a meeting that I believe the chief of security had requested with all senior staff, just to go over some of the security concerns, questions about some of these new, guests aboard the Ragnar, etc. And yeah, I'd like to just leave it to you all as I drag you all onto this map. And the backdrop of this is there's some food, there's some tables set up as well. And yeah, I just want to leave it to you all to take it over, please.
Well, as Zed enters, he's going to smile to the captain and say, "Asba, thank you for seeing me." And then he's going to, just kind of slump down in a chair. Looking very informal.
Ensign, did you just return from a trip to the sickbay?
It was some time ago, but yes, I did have one today.
Okay.
Oh, thank you for
nothing to report. You're still healthy enough to conduct yourself in your roles.
Oh, quite healthy, and thank you for the concern with my health.
Of course.
So, I had a number of things that I would like to go over with you, sir.
Well, you called the meeting, so I understand this is a security chief security briefing.
First, Petty Officer Locke, who is currently within the med bay. Are our intentions to allow him to move freely through the ship after he is cleared by the doctor?
Time out real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Did we establish that there is a record of Locke having a son? That guy does exist in this universe?
You haven't established that as of yet, but that is definitely something we can discuss now and come to the conclusion of whether or not it is a thing or not.
And I think when Zed researched it before, he could find no records of him anywhere. Is that correct?
So you tell me, Ensign Zed, you tell me.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like you to take some creative license here. Did he find records or not?
He found nothing.
Excellent. So no records. You find no records of Locke, any Locke in Starfleet, actually, which is maybe slightly disconcerting. I don't know. You tell me.
Captain, I think if we do decide to let him out of the sick bay, I would request that we monitor him remotely by sensors at all times, and also have a security detail check in on him periodically. After all, we know absolutely nothing about him.
My
Commander
suggestion
Ajay?
is. My
Well-
suggestion is. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Lieutenant Commander.
Yeah, if we let him out of the brig, I think the only place we should bring him is to an airlock. Ah.
We're
The
Not
petty
talking about-
officer, Krev.
yeah.
Yeah, him too.
Jesus.
Well, here are my thoughts. Commander Ajay, I'd like your opinion. I think the Andorian commander is a greater concern due to the authorizations he had somehow planted into the systems.
Yes, I would agree with that. And I think it does the petty officer no good to stay cooped up in sickbay. However, I wouldn't let him near any running experiments. I don't know how that anything might interact with what's going on with him. If he sticks to the galleys, the more public areas, I see no issue with that.
If I may, Doc.
Certainly.
But what we found earlier is that he has a device implanted in his skull. That device seems to be protecting him, emanating something. It's certainly the device is certainly keeping him grounded in our time, and that's pretty much keeping him healthy. And the best way I can explain it, sir, is that the device seems to be resetting him every millisecond.
And if anything happens to that device, there's no telling what it will do to the petty officer or to anyone in his vicinity. Hence why I would request we keep him away from anything that might possibly interfere with it, such as, again, any experiments or science labs or any testing of any of the engineering devices. There's no telling what could set this device off.
Does
However,
the
it
Andorian
hasn't,
have one?
not as far as I can tell, but I intend to give him another scan after we're done here. Now that I know what I'm looking for.
Listen, I'm
Nothing in,
uncomfortable. Sorry, go ahead,
I'm
Commander.
sorry, I simply meant to say nothing in sickbay has set the device off so far, which is why I believe the standard general areas of the ship pose no issue.
Vincent, I'm uncomfortable with that level of surveillance on a quote unquote innocent man. If we issue him a comm badge limiting his access and have the ship track him where you can access a report, would that be enough surveillance, do you think?
I think that would be very wise, Captain. Yes.
The other option is to issue him a security detail, just one or two ensigns. The Andorian has already proved to be sneakier in our systems than I would like, and he did issue, I'm going to politely term this a demand to speak to the boy, but with a kind of aggression I think warrants a threat. I just don't want him to feel so monitored.
And I would respectfully request, Captain, that I'm sure you're already not inclined to concede to this demand, but I must heavily advise that we not let those two run into each other.
Oh, no, the Andorian will stay in the brig. I've passed his request to speak to the boy on to the young Locke's, for the young Locke to make a decision. He's certainly not a prisoner. However, I did tell him that I wasn't certain that it would be in his best interest. I'm glad to hear that you're going to go check out the Andorian anyway. He seemed to be suffering adversely, and I would hate for him to be harmed by his incarceration. I just want to know more about him before he can range the ship.
There's only so much you can do to help someone who doesn't want to be helped, Captain, but I will do my best on the physical aspect at least.
Captain, if I might have a suggestion. He could be assigned to help Zed with the duties.
Whom?
Luck.
Ah,
That way I could supervise him without officially supervising him.
I'm disinclined to give a unidentified humanoid with the appearance of a petty officer the kind of accesses that a security chief would have. I would much rather a standard security officer be his chaperone.
Understood, Captain. Isn't it so that Petty Officer Locke stated that his father said something about saving him? Am I correct?
Yes.
Could it be possible, Captain, that our secret mission to test an experimental cloaking drive is actually something much more than that?
It's possible. Does anybody else hear that?
Yeah, there's like a noise. I don't know what it is.
Oh, I thought it was in the game. I thought you were doing it on purpose.
No.
I thought
Yeah.
that was.
No, it was a thing.
Oh,
Sounds
no.
like a bug.
All right, I'll ignore it then. It wasn't bothering me. I thought you were doing atmospheric sound.
You know what? We're gonna roll with it. Yes, it's coming from one of the containers that Ensign Zed has set up. Yeah.
Well, the container.
Oh no, I'm assuming there's
Yeah,
multiple,
yeah.
at least two different types of,
Yeah, oh, yes,
sugar
yes.
syrup.
Okay.
It sounds like the Tula flies are almost ready.
Oh, is
Oh,
that? I think you may have just spoiled your surprise, Ensign.
ah,
I will
Oh,
say
well.
that I did somewhat have my heart set on Kytherian crab, but I've never tried tula flies. I'm game.
I haven't had
excellent.
him in a while.
Was there anything else? Any other security concerns you wanted to bring to our attention?
I was only going to say that it just seems coincidental that that we are given a secret mission with a secret cloaking device that emits chronoton particles, and then a possible future version of someone that is in our brig gives us coordinates to those said to a temporal anomaly. It seems that perhaps something
Did you
else
say
is going on.
Didn't you say the person who gave you the pad was an Andorian as well?
It was the same Andorian.
Spitting image. Spitting image of that
Yes.
guy.
What if Admiral Locke is trying somehow to save his son from something, and this is some sort of scheme to pluck him out of another timeline or out of the past? My imagination could be getting away with me, though.
If it's out of the past, is Admiral Locke was he even old enough to have a son 40 years ago?
I don't know. But if you remember when we were a few days ago, when we were down by this secret room, we started seeing temporal copies of the Ragnar in close vicinity of each other. Perhaps this is some sort of temporal copy or clone of Petty Officer Locke or the Andorian.
Worth
I
keeping
don't
in
know.
mind.
I'm just trying to connect all of the dots.
It's probably no coincidence that we have the only prototypical cloaking device that uses a chronoton based cloaking system. So
Well, speaking of Krev, we know anything more about it?
Have I managed to do any work on it?
At this
Wolf?
point, I'm gonna give you another roll. Yeah, I'm gonna give you another roll. You're gonna do a control engineering difficulty of 4 on this one, with a complication range of 17 to 20.
Control engineering. Do I have a focus?
Yes, improvisation. We've set the precedent, of course. Of course.
of course.
Guess that we don't have any Okay.
No momentum, but you can always give threat.
Yeah, I'll give you a threat.
I'm gonna spend it. Complication range increases from 16 to 20.
Charlie.
Oh man.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
Oh, that's 2.
Wait for it.
Oh,
Wait for it.
Ooh.
Wait for
Yeah.
it. Wait
No,
for it.
we don't
Wait
have to
for it.
wait. We all know.
Hold on. Hold on. Okay. Well, that's 2 complications. Actually.
Yeah.
2 complications.
Let me
Yep.
just.
Yep, more aware.
Oh, let me just stretch my back here. All right. So, Lieutenant Commander Kreb, I have good news and I have bad news. Which do you want first?
I'll take the good news.
You've managed to turn it off all the way. All the way. So it was kind of like half on, half off. Half the ship was cloaked, half the ship wasn't. The bad news is that it might be broken. We're not sure. You tried to put the panel back on, it just keeps falling off. Like, you ever like take something apart and like you go to put the thing back on the wall and it just falls off and you're like, shit. I'd put it back on, it falls off again. That is, in layman's terms, what you've done to this thing. So I'll allow you to explain that to the captain. And also, one final piece of information: the heartbeat that you heard at one point from inside of it, that heartbeat, it's you're hearing it in different parts on the ship from time to time. And for a while you've thought that maybe it was just all in your head and you've been spending too much time in that cloaking room. But Lieutenant Commander Karev, you're actually hearing that heartbeat right now. And it's like it's coming from within the walls. And I'll leave that to you to delve into.
Okay. Well, Cap, it's off now.
Good.
The whole ship is uncloaked, and that's where we're at right now.
Okay.
Uh,
Is it off in a way that we could turn it back on, Krev?
No.
Okay. No, I know how these prototypes are.
In this moment, everyone would watch as Captain Treso says, "I know how these prototypes are," and then in this very moment, Captain Treso freezes in place. His eyes kind of roll into the back of his head. And Captain Treso, you find yourself sitting within the conference room, but in this moment, you are sitting alone. It's as though you blinked and then everyone was gone. And you hear that kind of distant heartbeat, that thump thump, thump thump, thump thump, and appearing, kind of almost as though phasing out of out of reality, out of nothingness. You see a shadowy kind of, it's like a shadowy image of a woman with red hair. And she kind of steps out as though she's phasing through almost like a rift. And she places both of her hands on the table in front of you. And as she does so, she just stares directly at you and then asks a question. Is he okay?
Assuming you're speaking of the boy, he's fine. In fact, disgustingly healthy, as I think how my chief medical officer put it.
Good. Good. Can you tell your chief engineer to stop mucking about?
I can tell him to, but he's got a mind of his own. I don't know how much he'll listen. Can you give me something to tell him? Like some piece of information he can chew on for a bit?
Tell him to stop breaking me.
And who are you again?
And then she fades back into that little void that she was in. And we pivot back and we see everyone. Oops, I grabbed the map. My bad. But I would say that everyone maybe have gotten a little concerned. How's everyone reacting to the captain as he goes blank for about 30 seconds?
Oh, I stood up and started scanning him.
Yeah, Ajay did the same,
Yeah,
basically.
right.
So both of you would have picked up some chronometric particles around him in this moment.
Chronometric or chronoton?
Chronoton, excuse me, chronoton particles. I don't have the wiki open right now. My bad. But
It's okay. It's
you
okay.
would pick up some of those particles, and it's almost as though for a moment, and it's similar to what you were picking up when you were scanning the good lock. You're gonna watch as the captain seems to phase, like flipping, as though you're like, you're flipping a light switch on and off. It's like you're seeing that like 01010101 for about 15 to 20 seconds, and then he's back to himself, and you can date him, you know exactly where he is, etc. But it's just for a moment, and then captain, you come back into reality. Your head is throbbing, it hurts like a mother, but I leave the scene back to you all.
With the medical tricorders going, would those be playing like a heartbeat? His heartbeat?
Yes.
The medical one, the scientific one, no.
Yes.
Does it match up with the heartbeat that I'm hearing?
Yes. Very insightful. Well done, Lieutenant Commander Greff.
Okay.
Captain?
I think I just spoke to the cloaking device. It was very
That is-
concerned about the young lock. Also, Krev, stop breaking it.
That explains the readings.
I'm not trying to. I don't know if it's concerning to anyone or not, or if anyone else has been hearing that heartbeat going throughout the ship.
Yes, every so often. Captain, your heartbeat just matched it, which is not a usual heartbeat pattern for a betazoid.
It is not. No. I can't imagine that was a particularly good trip for me, physically.
No.
All right, let's suspend all experiments on the cloaking device for a bit. Scans, but no physical interference, right, Krev?
Yes, sir.
Also, you know what? Fuck it, the whole ship's a need to know. You can bring in teams. I'll issue a general order. We'll tell everybody there's a cloaking device on board. This is ridiculous.
Lieutenant Commander Krev, your comm badge chirps.
Krev.
It is Petty Officer, first class. I guess you're Andrea Bronson. She says, Captain, not Captain, Lieutenant Commander, we're getting some strange power draws from that place I'm not supposed to talk about, and you told me not to tell the captain that I know about.
Yeah, the cloaking device. We're gonna have a briefing, a shipwide briefing about that pretty soon. What's up?
Well, it's drawing a lot of power. I mean, like a lot of power, and the temperature inside the room is getting really hot. I'm not exactly sure. It's 90. Let's see here, 60. So wait, we're gonna go with Fahrenheit because Darewolf's bad at Celsius. It's around 100 degrees Fahrenheit inside there, sir.
Freedom units, huh? Interesting.
America.
Space America. Fuck yeah.
The
It's about 37
Federation,
degrees
fuck
Celsius.
yeah, coming to save the motherfucking galaxy, America, Federation. I'm done. We're digressing. All right, but no. Apparently there is a huge power draw to that device, and the ship is actually, you could feel the ship slow down. You've been traveling at maybe warp 6 or 7. You actually feel the ship slightly slow down in this moment.
Krev looks up at the captain. Do you want me to go see what I can do?
Yeah, unless there's anything else, you're all dismissed.
I hustle out.
Zed will stay behind just for a moment. Say, I hope you are feeling well, Captain.
Yeah, I think I just talking to the cloaking device really took it out of me.
I also wanted to ask, did my familiar nature, my informal manner, well, Commander Krebs said that you would appreciate it if I acted a bit more informal in front of you.
I suspected Krev would have something to do with this. Ensign, I'm happy to establish a formal or an informal rapport with you, but don't try to force it. Let's keep it professional, at least for the next little while, especially while we're both on duty.
I understand. Professional for now. I kept it. And then Zed will head out.
Heads out. All right, very good. And Commander Ajay, you've given the captain a hypo spray for his headache. Captain, you're feeling much more yourself. Your head's not throbbing as much anymore. You feel a little bit more, I guess, grounded would be the statement.
Thank you, Doctor. Well, is there anything else you two need from me?
Paris heads out.
And as Paris heads out,
Don't let me keep you.
Commander Ajay
No, sorry. I said no, Captain.
heads out. Captain, I believe you had a plan to retire to your ready room right before, and this is about maybe 2 hours before the potluck's actually supposed to get off. You've got it mostly set up. I still want you guys to have the potlucks. I want to hear about all the different foods you brought, obviously. But Captain, you had a plan to contact, I believe, someone from Starfleet Command, is my understanding.
Yeah, I put in 2 requests to speak to admirals.
And you do finally get a response. And the response comes from Admiral Janeway. And it is actually, it's just a recording. And because you're obviously in the Shackleton, communication's a little bit slower. You've got to send it, long distance hyperspace. Yep. I don't know, subspace. I digress.
There's no subspace comm buoys in the Shackleton Expanse, so we've got to
send it, and it's like voice videos. So it's a message from Admiral Janeway. And she's got that old, end of Star Trek Voyager, the gray hair, looks a little older, and she says, Captain Treso, I hope this message does find you well, and to speak candidly, I'm a bit confused as to your other request to speak with one Admiral Locke. I regret to inform you that no such admiral exists in Starfleet Command, and of course your standing orders are to obviously investigate the Shackleton Advance, but I'm more curious about the young petty officer and this Commander BeDob that you had mentioned. I request that you monitor them, and we'll follow up with you with any additional requests, but in the meantime, continue on your mission, boldly go, and stay safe out there. Admiral Janeway out. And then shuts off. And I'm curious, how does Captain Treso respond to this? What does he look on his face? How does he respond?
just puzzled, because I've had 2 direct interactions with Admiral Locke, so this seems suspicious. But also, Treso has some experience with things not quite adding up officially. So he just starts to put in database search parameters to see what he can pull based on his additional clearances.
What exactly is he looking for?
So I'm looking for any record of aliases, any traces of an Admiral Locke that might be left in the system that somebody who was deleting stuff would miss.
Control security, difficulty of 3.
My security is not great. Will I be able to use my infiltration focus?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, my Lord, have mercy. That is perfect. Right on the money.
I don't know that I have. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else. I will give you one threat.
I'll
Since
take
we
it.
are
I'm just gonna hold on. I'm
desperately
just gonna
short
pocket it.
on
I'm just gonna put it boop, right in my little pocket there.
to
Not
roll
gonna
a
spend it.
third. Do the focus. Hey!
Wow, and you're getting momentum back. So you are gonna find some information, and it's not about an Admiral lock. It's not about a Geoffrey or Geoffrey lock. It's actually about. It's a reference to a Darius lock. He was a captain during the Federation and Cardassian War, the Cardassian Wars. And in the year 2363, the Cardassians actually made an attempt to take a Federation outpost, which led to weeks and weeks of battle, both on a planet as well as in the space in that particular solar system. And there were heavy losses on both sides. In fact, there were roughly 24 Federation ships that were damaged or destroyed in that battle. And there is one particular ship that is made mention of that apparently this Captain Darius Locke was captaining at the time. And based on the records from that time, it was him, his wife, were both on the command crew of that particular vessel. All right. And his wife's name was, if I look at my GM notes, was Shivani Manne, and the name of the ship in question was the Yiva Cole, Yiva Cole. And what you would, excuse me, I got that backwards. My bad. Her name was Yiva Cole, which the computer translates to meaning she-wolf, dark and beautiful victory. And the Shivani Manne, which was the name of the ship, the USS Shivani Manne, that translates it to life and death, is the name. But all records indicate that ship was actually destroyed in the second week of fighting in that particular battle.
Which is reported destroyed.
And as we watch the captain take in this information, do his research, I'd like to just open the floor to everyone in this moment. Is there any other scenes anyone else wanted to have prior to us kind of wrapping this up with the potluck, where I'd like to hear all of the different dishes that everyone's going to be bringing?
Yeah, I guess I've got to get down to the cloaking device
Cloak
room.
device? Okay, perfect.
And I'll call an engineering team there.
So that's actually going to be a very quick and very simple scene. You get there, the doors are closed again, and they are now locked, and you do not have clearance to open them. Bronson, standing next to Karev, takes a small step back from him as his face just says it all. Lieutenant Commander, are you okay?
Fine.
Isn't the
I'm
door supposed to
fine.
be open, sir?
We've been asked not to mess with it. I was going to try to undo some of the modifications I've made, but apparently my expertise isn't needed here. And Krev just turns around and walks away.
Does this mean we should go back to engine, sir? And she's going to chase after Lieutenant Commander Krev. But our last scene is going to be the crew, the security crew, the bridge crew of the Ragnar, along with a couple of other officers, lower officers that you may have invited. It's a nice little social gathering inside of the conference room. But I just want to hear from everybody what dishes they've brought. So let's start with Lieutenant Paris. What dishes did you bring to the potluck?
All right, so there's a selection of Saurian green egg pasties, Cardassian Semhal stew bites, the Danavian plum pudding, Talaxian cabbage bites, Romulan roasted halai on a stick, and for the adventurous, some Klingon gach.
Danny Bradish, who did show up, looks at the gawk with disgust and is on the complete opposite side of the room from the flies. It's like, oh geez, I'm not, okay, that's disgusting. I mean, wow, what an interesting delicacy that you've decided to bring. I am very intrigued with, oh look, casserole. And he goes to the casserole, but that is fantastic. What about Lieutenant Commander Krev? What did Krev bring to the potluck?
So Krev brought roasted glorak in took sauce. The took sauce is made from a sweet melon, and there's also some, roasted vegetables, various sorts, as well as like a kind of garnished pile of like weird gourds and other like root vegetables. He would not tell anyone that that the glorak specifically is a dog-like species, a canine, for a while, especially until after Danny had eaten some.
Oh, Lieutenant Commander Krev, this is delicious. What did you say this was made from? This is awesome. It's got like a sweetness to it. Kind of reminds me of my my grandma's pot roast. Like it's
it's a roasted glorak in took sauce.
Okay.
The took is a melon that my people really cherish.
Oh, nice. Okay.
The glorak is it's a canine. Your people would call them dogs.
Wait, what?
It's a dog.
I'm eating a dog?
Yes.
Oh God, I'm gonna be
delicious.
Sick. Permission to. Oh, I got. And then he runs out the doorway and heads off to one of the resters. Sly devil. What about? Let's see. What about Commander Ajay? What did Commander Ajay bring to the potluck?
Hasperit souffle. So.
Ooh, very nice. Very nice. And what is that? Can you describe it to us?
So normally Hasperit is served as a sandwich, but as a souffle, it's this nice spicy dish that it is supposed to make your eyes water if it's done right.
Oof. Oh boy. Oh boy. And are people's eyes watering in this moment?
Hopefully they should be.
I like it.
Unless you've got a really good spice tolerance.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we see
Commander Ajay, this is
folks.
Delicious.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
Harris is just digging in, going like,
digging.
Yeah, so is Krev.
Nice. And Zed, other than the flies, what else did you bring? No, you're good, Ferris.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, I haven't had this good souffle since I was on Deep Space Nine. Like, I don't know, since I was a kid.
Zed also brought a tube grub casserole sprinkled with flaked blood flea powder.
Ooh.
And also for Danny Bradish, she wanted something from Earth. So he brought his favorite Earth dish, which is a gelatin fruit cake.
Oh my God, that is so Zed. I love it.
He's holding the fruit cake, but looking at the door, bewildered that Danny just ran out of the. Well, I guess I'll put it here in case he comes back.
You do that.
And what about Treso? What did Treso bring to the potluck?
Treso brought Kimden rolls and Udaberry jam, but also he cracked open his store of Beta Z oysters because he had hoped that there'd be crab and they could just mix. Beta Z oysters are kind of like Earth oysters, except instead of you eating a bunch of them, they're about the size of like a steak. So you really only eat one. But he does warn everybody that they're well known to be a aphrodisiac on Beta Z. So beware falling in love with each other.
Oh, very nice. Talk about a buddy cop movie. All right, but that's good. So as we sort of wrap up our session, our episode here today, we watch as the crew has come together for this potluck, sharing stories and delicacies and different meals, and there's really a kind of, I guess, a joyful moment here is what I'm experiencing. Even Danny returns, looking a little greener, but he goes, hey, gelatin. It's actually one of my favorite things, Zed. I know we had more in common than I expected, and he's gonna dig into it. And actually, you get Danny to try the flies, and although he was nervous, he does bite them before they bite him, and he actually likes them. He does. He goes, you know what, Zed? You might be a weird dude, but these flies are pretty good. It's pretty great. I like it. So, but with that being said, our last scene, as we kind of cut away from the conference room, the joy, the laughter, there's some music playing. I'm assuming I'm going to just kind of, elaborate a little bit, embellish a little bit. We also have some different musics playing for different cultures. There's some Klingon opera that gets played at one point for about 30 seconds. And then maybe, next track, computer, next track. But as we pivot down, we actually pivot through the ship down into kind of the core of the vessel, where we go back to the brig. And we see this Andorian, who is starting to look more and more dark blue. And he's sitting on the little bed, little sitting area. And you watch as he's kind of like scratching at his arms. And he's scratching at his arms, and you watch as he scratches, you see that light blue that is on him is starting to flake away. And below it, you actually see that his skin is this dark, almost the border of his token kind of blue. And he looks up, and he just stares angrily out the shield. And as the camera kind of pans away from him and over to the wall, you see that into the metal of the wall, the name Locke has been kind of carved out into the wall. And our last scene is going to be us then zooming out of the brig, all the way out to the Ragnar, where we see the Ragnar is traveling at warp through the kind of cloudiness of the Shackleton Expanse. And that, my friends, is where we will end session 4 of Star Trek Valhalla. And I just want to say thank you, everybody. I loved all of the scenes. You guys did absolutely friggin' fantastic. It was really cool to see. It's just really cool to see all the different interactions that we had today. I think just disgustingly enthusiastic applause. Thank you, Kura. We appreciate you, dude. That's good. That's great. But yeah, any final thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns from the crew?
It was lots of fun. I love our
Amazing.
crew.
Wonderful.
Good then.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
you will see these fine folks back here next week, same game time, same game place, for episode 5, which the intended goal, just to explain to you as well as our viewers, is we're going to be doing this in kind of seasons, similar to how you'd see like a Star Trek series. And in my mind, I have 10 episode seasons kind of set up. So we're reaching kind of that middle point. And as a little bit of a foreshadow, I did do a poll with the crew here today. And I was like, hey, here's 4 options of maybe one of the upcoming episodes we can do. Everyone voted for everything, so it did nothing to help me. Just FYI. Absolutely nothing to help me. But a
That make your
strong
life easier.
strong for and also that just means they're excited for anything, which is not a bad, it's a good problem to have as a game master. But our next episode, as of right now, I'm planning for that to be a First Contact episode, kind of as a strong foreshadow. So I'm excited. We're gonna get to interact and meet with a new species, something deep inside of the Shackleton Expanse. And then we'll take it from there. But to the crew, I thank you so much, as always. To our viewers, thank you for stopping in to watch. If you're watching this live or if you're watching this on the VOD, I do appreciate you guys supporting. It all helps. It makes this even more entertaining. We'd have fun without it, but it makes it even more entertaining to have you here with us enjoying the story. But with that being said, as I always say at the end of every stream, thanks for watching. Happy gaming, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers, everybody.